Welcome to the Gentlewoman Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Horlbogen. I'm on a mission to foster civility, respect, and integrity with a dash of sartorial elegance in the boardroom and beyond, and I invite you to join me on my quest. Welcome back, everyone, to the next episode of the Gentlewoman Boss Podcast. My guest today is Alison Maloni, and I'm sure you already know who she is, but I'm going to share with you a brief bio of her amazing career and success. So Alison Maloni is the CEO of Alison May Public Relations and contributor anchor for Newsmax. Alison is an acclaimed keynote speaker, moderator, and media relations expert. The CEO and president of Alison May Public Relations is a well-respected publicist among reporters, producers, and editors around the world because of her understanding of what journalists want and need. Alison emphasizes the importance of using social and digital media to deliver the message. She is not afraid to tell it like it is and pushes companies to do what everyone else is not doing. That's key. Her belief that confidence is key allows her to stand out among her competitors, along with her willingness to be bold. Alison has also just released a book called Breaking in the News, Build Buzz for Your Brand. Alison is an extremely proud mother of 3 young girls who inspire her every day to be a better person. The business owner is very vocal about the real challenges of being a working mom while sharing her own solutions that have helped her maintain a work-life balance. Alison has been featured in Time Magazine, Daily Worth, Reputation Management, and on Dr. Oz, and many more places. And now you can add to it, you've been on the Gentlewoman Boss Podcast.
Yay!
Hey, I'm so excited to have you here, Alison. Thank you for making the time.
Oh my gosh, thank you. This is so exciting.
Well, I'm so excited about your book. I haven't read it yet, obviously, right? It's not really, it's available for pre-order, which is part of why I have you here today. I really want to help you get the word out about that. But what was that process like to write a book about your career and your industry?
Yeah, it was on my bucket list. And so years ago, I said I want to write a book, but the book I had in mind was not this book. That's probably the second or third book that I want to write. But I started about 5 years ago just doing tips of the day. I would record them in my car with my phone because it's the Gary V method, right? Give people as much information and value as you can. I know that not everybody can hire a PR firm, and a lot of people are doing it in-house. So I want to give everybody as much information as I can on how to do your own PR and how newsrooms work, because I worked in local newsrooms and now national. And time again, we'd get pitches, or I would talk to producers and they're like, oh my gosh, people just don't get it. They're sending us this 2-page press release, or they're mad because we had to cancel their appearance because we had breaking news. So I wanted to take all of that, everything on how the media works, what you should do, how to get ready for your media interview, and put it all together in one book. So I started writing it, and then I stopped, and then life got in the way. But New Year's Day, I said, I'm just going to do this. So January, I started writing it in my living room, and I just couldn't do it because I'm in work, I'm with the kids. So I went by myself and went to Florida for like 4 days, and I pretty much wrote half of the book from Florida, from my hotel room. No interruptions, no client calls, no kids, nothing. And then I finished it up, and here we are.
That's incredible. Yeah, I definitely get the distraction factor. Absolutely. Like working from home. So I love you reference your tips of the day, which I think is so, I love watching them and listening to them. I'm not so much that I want to pitch myself to the media. I mean, if they find me, if it happens, that's fine. I just think it's beautiful how you share all of that for free, literally. Like you just, if people want to follow you, all they have to do is follow you on social media, and they're going to learn all those tips and all those little gold nuggets about getting their brand out there, getting that earned media attention. So it's just very generous of you, Alison. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Well, it's kind of like, why we follow people who we follow. So I'll follow, beauty bloggers, and I want to know, like, how do you get, your hair curled like that? Or what is your favorite skincare routine? And so they're giving it away for free. So I may not be as interesting as the beauty bloggers, but I think if I can help people too, by giving all of this information. And I mean, I feel good because somebody did tell me, they're like, I watched your tip and I did this, and then I just got in Forbes because I used a tip you said. I'm like, oh my God, that's so awesome. So
Oh, that's
yeah, it's
great.
fun to do.
Yeah, and I think that also reiterates the importance of giving the feedback back, right? A lot of times, like we may be touching people's lives or helping them, but if we never hear it, right?
Yeah.
It almost like when you get those little messages or those DMs or emails, it's like it inspires you to keep doing it because you're actually providing value. Yeah, that's fantastic. So I'm curious if your peers, colleagues, competitors, whatever you want to call it, if they've ever given you negative feedback about what you do to try to help people, or like if is that I don't see a lot of other people with your success sharing those kind of things. So are you sort of breaking new ground by doing this?
Maybe. And I think a lot of people will share things on Instagram. They'll do infographics. So I notice now in the last year or so, everybody's doing reels, which kind of gives little tidbits. But somebody who's in PR, who I know very well, when I was writing this book, she said, oh, be careful. You don't want to give away your secret sauce. And I said, well, yes and no, because maybe somebody, they don't have the relationships that I have or members of my team do. And that's like a big part. I teach them how to try and do that. But I don't think that I don't really think there is a secret sauce. It's all about, look, you have to have a good story. You have to do the research. You have to, reach out to the journalist and follow up and kind of do everything. So that was the only negative thing. It's just a lot of time. It's a lot of work, just to do the tip of the day, especially, with quarantine. Like I wanted to get and do my hair and makeup. I was just in my yoga pants. So what I would do, and I tell people, because they want to do a lot of, of the social media, whether it's a reel, just do batch content. Do your hair and makeup one time, pick out 3 or 4 outfits, and then just do 3 or 4 reels, which I've tried to do reels and I'm not good at. I'm just super awkward. I know everybody does it, but it's just not me. So I'm not going to do something that's not me.
Well, I was just going to say, like, your tip of the day video clips are like, you always look like you're ready to go on air. I'm like, first of all, how does she get the motivation? Exactly. Like quarantine, pandemic, everything's elastic waist, right? No makeup, her hair. I'm like, oh my word, she must have like a crew that lives in her house that does her hair and makeup. I know that's not true, but you always are so put together and stunning. And I think sometimes it can feel like, oh, I'll never aspire to that. But other times it's so motivating. It's like, listen, I don't know what she's got going on in her real world, but if she can do it, I can do it. So I love it. I love it.
And then I think the thing too, for me, because I was doing, so when I do my tips of the day, it's on Wednesdays when I have this ongoing segment with John Bachman on the news. So I'm already ready, but there are certainly times that I've done it, like, I've done it in a hat one time. So I think as we move, out of this, hopefully this perfection world of social media, and people are trying to be more real and authentic, it's totally fine to do a tip of the day, with your hair in a ponytail and not full makeup, because that shows who you are. And I don't think people are expecting people to be head to toe dressed up. So I think that's totally fine, as long as it represents who you are.
Speaking of this topic, though, recently we had a local, I know you worked for a news station in Rhode Island for years. I actually told my sister last night that I was interviewing you today. She's like, I remember her from the news, Rhode Island. So but recently there was a, Kelly Bates did not renew her contract. Let's put it that way. And she made reference to her weight being an issue, or what her how she looked on air. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but the public definitely thought that was part of it. And I just want to ask you, like, the pressure in television, right, to keep a certain look or weight, or whatever. Like, is that, I'm sure that's palpable. I'm sure you feel that.
Yeah, it's there. And it's not, I've never have heard of bosses saying, "Oh gosh, you look like you gained weight. You better, get to the gym." I have heard, and it was never in my contract, but I have heard there are contracts when you get to like this high level that says like, you're not going to make changes without our approval. So if you wanted to go dye your hair, you need to get their approval. And I don't know about weight, but I have seen um, the audience react to women if they gained weight, lost weight, had a baby, didn't lose the baby weight, this, and that. People are vicious.
Yes.
And because they can just go on social media and they can type behind a keyboard. I know there was one journalist, I forget where she was. I think she was a news weather anchor, and she read these letters on air. And it is horrible how people treat you. You don't, and I just, it makes me sick because the pressure, nobody knows what's going on, and whatever, however you look should not affect how you do your job. So I definitely, the pressure is real, and it's hard because you hear from people no matter what. "Oh, I didn't like your dress," or, "Oh, it looks like you did something with your hair." I actually had a guy message me so this is a man on Facebook who said, "Well, you look pretty, but I think you should consider darkening your eyebrows and maybe doing something different with your hair. I think that would be better for you." I'm like, okay, first of all, you're a guy in a t-shirt. Who are you to tell me what but there are so many people out there. And the more you're in the spotlight, the more people feel that they can say their opinion, and they're nasty and negative, and it's horrible. And I don't know if it will change. And who's actually the worst offender are women. Women are really bad. And I never understood that. You're supposed to build each other up.
Exactly.
But they are the worst offenders.
Yeah. Ageism, right? Especially in newscast, online broadcasting, ageism and that pressure to look the part, which, again, back in like today, there's a lot more diversity. I know we were in Disney in the late spring. We ended up chatting with one of the someone near the pool she had a management position. She was very sweet, but she was saying that Disney had just lifted the rule about exposing or showing any tattoos. So like, I guess if you had a tattoo, you had to have like a sleeve. They actually made these things. They would slide over their forearm as far as a way to embrace people, like you said, bringing your whole self to work and all that. But there are still industries, I'm sure, and companies that want a certain, look, wholesome or whatever. And in media and broadcasting, so obviously they want to attract viewers, right? So, and I also agree with you that women can be the worst. And also to the keyboard warriors, like you said, people think just because they can say something that they should, but you really have to have thick skin.
You do. And some days I'm like, okay, I can handle it. And other days it will get to you. You could just have a bad day, or we're our own worst critics. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think it's important to surround yourself with positive people, with your tribe of whoever it may be, who constantly builds you up, because that's what you need.
Yeah, exactly. And you have nothing to worry about. I don't care what the scruffy t-shirt guy says, just ignore them. All the haters, the haters love to come, but whatever. I know that you are connected with Heather Monahan too, and she talks about it a lot. Like, if you're just behind your desk doing a job quietly, no one will be saying anything, right? But it's like you said, as soon as you put yourself out there, so there's that, it's the risk factor, right? Do I just stay quiet and stay behind the lines? Or if you, like you want to push forward, like you said, a couple of years ago, you had this breakthrough, you're like, I'm going for it, I'm going to do it. And you did. But then you've got to take the weight of what comes with that. But
exactly,
which is why we do need to be each other's tribe and help each other and support each other. The Gentlewoman Boss podcast has been named Top 20 Best Month Reporting Podcasts of 2021 by Whelp Magazine, number 36 of 200 in Top Entrepreneurship Podcasts by Podchaser, and Top 20 Best Whistleblower Podcasts for 2021 by Castbox Media. For sponsorship opportunities, please visit our website at thegentlewomanboss.com. you're starting, you said, a PR and branding and training consulting type thing. You want to talk a little bit about your new adventure?
So this is, and we started thinking about it during COVID because a lot of companies had to, they had to cut, they had to get rid of their internal marketing team, their internal PR team, or even PR agencies, marketing agencies. And so they're all trying to do it themselves. And so what we want to do and what we have done is we'll go into a company and work with them. We do like a full audit of what are they doing and then come up with a strategy, and we help them do it themselves. So we will build, lists for them. We'll give them pitch ideas. We'll help them write press releases, and we'll come up with a plan for them. And then, so we teach them all of it. And then we are on like a consulting, like a monthly consulting call that they can call us. We see how things are going. They can send us pitches. We'll tweak them and help them, but we pretty much guide them. We give them the tools and then we guide them so they can do it themselves. And it works. It helps if you have somebody in-house that has a little bit of marketing knowledge or social media, or just, because the CEOs are always like, oh, I can do it. And then they realize like, this is a lot. So if you have just an assistant or somebody to help you, it does help. But that's what we've been doing, which is great because we can teach everyone how to do it. And the thing too, is when you have, I feel like I'm talking myself out of work, but when you have an agency, they do everything for you, which is great. But if you have to let them go or something doesn't work out, you are left kind of blind. Like you don't have the contacts with the journalists. You don't have the media list. You don't, have all the pitches and ideas. So it's hard if you have to break away from them because you're like, okay, now what? And you have to either hire another agency or you lose that momentum of when you're getting press. So at least you kind of know exactly what you're doing. And then if you do want to hire someone, even, internally to handle it, they'll have a better idea after being trained. So,
Yeah, I think that's super important for organizations to understand. I mean, you can't survive in business today without a digital footprint. It's and there are so many and not to sound ageist, but especially older C-suite executives that it's not their fault. They don't get it. It's just you've got to understand it's a whole different world, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
A whole different world. And getting, being willing to invest in PR, being willing to invest in brand and representing yourself online, right? Making that digital footprint is so critical today. I mean, it's like, when is the last time you pulled out the yellow pages?
I know, right?
I mean, we used to get one like every fall, I think, in our driveway. It was dropped off by who I don't know, the yellow pages gods would drop it in the driveway. I mean, I use them because I worked in an art gallery. We used to use the pages to clean glass. It works amazing for whatever reason. So I use that to do my windows every fall, but I haven't opened a yellow pages in 10 years. Like, no. Right, you go online, you Google the company, you Google the person. So,
well, and the other thing too is that it's reputation management. I think a lot of these executives don't think about that, but who are you hiring and what are they putting on social media? And if you do have a crisis and something happens, who's talking to the media? There needs to be a whole protocol, and a crisis could be a restaurant, of guests getting food poisoning, or it could be essentially a leaked email that there could be something happening within the company. And that's why, if you have somebody who's doing PR or knows, they can handle it, because when something gets out of control, you're in a lot of trouble.
Oh, it's so true. Now, I'm all about like toxic workplace advocacy and anti-bullying, workplace bullying, because of my experience. And I kind of have been promoting whatever, like the name and shame hashtag, like, because a lot of times things don't change until something goes public. And I know that there's the good and the bad side of that. If you're the organization C-suite, that's very bad. Mm-hmm. But if you're if you're the person trying to affect change and hold people accountable, so there's like that, it's like a two-edged sword, right? But companies do need to understand, leaders need to understand, like, there's Glassdoor, there's Indeed, there's Yelp. Like you said, if you're a restaurant owner, my husband just left. He never in his life has left a review online for anything. He's extremely private. But we went up on Federal Hill and had a dinner dancing night. It was lovely, but the restaurant experience itself was not lovely.
No.
Well, we had a blast. I mean, I'm like, I'll
Yeah.
eat chicken nuggets. I don't care. I'm out. It was beautiful. I was dancing. There was a live band, but his steak was like well done. He likes it rare. He was just grumpy. And I said to him, you have to understand that once you put this out there, right?
Yeah.
We had his name, I'm like, when people Google you, this is one of the first things that's going to come up on Google besides your business, your 50-year-old private practice. The next thing is going to be this Yelp review. So, I kind of had to help him understand, like, it's not that you can't leave the review, but if you want it to follow you into forever, right?
Yeah.
You have to be careful.
Anything
and anyway,
you say or print or email or text, like, it does not go away.
It's so true. It's so true. So how do you, Alison, how do you, just switch gears a little bit, how do you guide your girls? I know you have 3 beautiful daughters. How do you guide them with managing like social media and this new world, right? I'm gonna be 54 next month, so
yeah, it's a whole new world. I didn't grow up with it either. And while social media can be great, I think that it can be very negative for young girls. I mean, we can handle the negative comments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're adults, we're grown, we've gone through things. I can't imagine being a teenager already going through all of these things and hormones and self-doubt, and to have to deal with negative comments.
Mm-hmm.
So fortunately, they have not had anything yet, but I've talked to them about that and, shared my experiences and said, anybody that's going to talk negatively about you, A, they're jealous, B, they're hiding behind a keyboard, and you need to just delete them or block them or not be friends with them. But it's challenging. I mean, you see they're going through, TikTok, they're looking at, other people comparing themselves.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what will happen, growing up. I try and teach them to be confident, and, we don't use the word diet. We don't use calories. We don't use anything that has to do. I talk about healthy food, and I've seen households where they don't buy cookies and they don't do this. And then, kids have issues with eating disorders because the parents are so restrictive. So it's so hard with girls because it's just a different world. And we've never experienced going through social media at their age. So It's all uncharted territory, but I just try and like build them with positivity and have like an open door, just come and talk to me. But they're all different. My oldest will come and tell me anything. My middle one will shut down, and my little one she's just a mix of both of them. So
yeah, it's true. You have to know their personality, right? And I think, I'm sure you can relate to this. The past year and a half, it's been even harder because I mean, our daughter's 19, so she's an adult basically, right? I mean, but I've seen patterns and habits that a year and a half ago I would have definitely said something, but I feel like because of the quarantine being so isolated, like she needs to be doing something, right? Like all the screen time, video games, on scrolling on her phone, like you said, TikTok. But I feel it because prior to that, she was not. I mean, she was an average kid with her phone, but now it's just like that is like their one link to society. And I do worry about what impression is she getting, because everyone puts out their highlight reel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a few months ago, a friend of hers had, it was when so I'm in Massachusetts, as you are, I know, and we're not far from Boston, which was the breakout in this country, right? Happened after that conference in Boston. We were in lockdown March 7th. Like it was like boom. I mean, we were like one of the first in the country that everything stopped. My mother called me. She was at Home Goods. She's like, Home Goods is closed. TJ Maxx is closed. I'm like, number one, what are you doing out? She had gone to Target to buy slippers or something. But so, anyway, everything just shut down for us so fast. I forgot where I was going with this. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry.
No, you were talking about prior to lockdown.
Oh, okay. Yes. All right. So when everything sort of seemed to be getting better, right? Restrictions lifted, things were a little better for a while. So one of her friends had a party, a bonfire outdoors, and everyone literally in her social circle was invited except her.
Yeah.
And I raised her always from when she was little that we cannot expect to always be invited to everything. Always. I raised her with that because it's true. We know a lot of people. We've got, my husband's a doctor. He's been in this community for 50 years. It's like we have a lot of social connections, and you can't always be on the list. Like, I just raised her with that, and she's always been great about it, like better than I have. Like, I've been like, I can't believe you didn't get invited, or and she's like, Mom, whatever, it's fine. This time it really like got punched her because she hadn't done anything for so long, and we still to this day don't know what the reason behind that was. But and I think reassuring them, like, it's almost like it's hard to see them being excluded or that gut punch, but you just have to be their champion or their cheerleader when things aren't good, because like you said, we didn't go through teenage years with all this craziness, but they are, and we're navigating new seas, and so are they, so we just all have to go forward with a little grace.
It's hard.
I know. I wanted to ask you, hold on, I'm just going to peek at my notes here.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about your book? Back to your book. So it is available for pre-sale now, right? Talk about where people can find it and all that.
Yeah, so they can find it on Amazon. So it's on Amazon. It's also on Target online and Barnes & Noble, but Amazon is probably the easiest place to get it. So it's paperback, hardcover, and then ebook, and then I still need to do the audio book. I'm working on that too, so hopefully that will be up soon. But yeah, they can go to my website too, and then that will take. So right now during pre-sale, if you go to my website and you buy the book, there's another button where you can click on it and you can get a special like book plate, which I had no idea what the heck a book plate was. But because everything's virtual and we really don't do book signing events, and everything is shipped and done through Amazon and Target. So it's like a sticker kind of, and I will write a personalized note to the person who is buying the book, and then I mail it to them, and then they put it in the front page of the book. So it's like a signed book, but that's the way that people are doing it now, which I've learned so much through this process. So they can get a special note if they do it through my website, they'll see there. And then you can get on my email list, and you can get all sorts of information, which how important email lists are. So
right. So are you doing your Audible version? Are you recording it, or?
I'm recording it.
Wow.
I'm doing it. So we're just doing it through a camera and microphone, and I'm going to have somebody just splice it together and then do it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Good for you. So did you self-publish, or did you go through a publisher?
I did a hybrid publishing, which I didn't know existed. So it's a mix between a publisher and self-publishing. I don't know, I would not have been able to do this myself because there's so many things you don't think about. So the hybrid publisher in-house, they have an editor, they have a cover designer, they have a formatter, they will get it up on Amazon, they put it everywhere they need to, they do it through Ingram Spark. So they do a lot for you. And this company, they also have like all these webinars. So they take you through everything from, launching your book to having a virtual party. They're awesome. I text her all the time, and they're lifesavers. So it's great. And it's just it's a fee, but it's not anything, that a lot of businesses can't afford. And thank God for them, because there are companies out there that are hybrid companies, and they are a ton of money. I talked to one, and they were like, oh yeah, it's $10,000. I'm like, huh, what?
How many books do I have to sell to pay?
Well, exactly. So this was great. And I would definitely use them again. To get a publisher, you got to do a book proposal. You have to be well known. It takes a long time to get your book out. So I think I gave them, I want to say February or March, I gave them my final copy, and we're now just a few months after that, and it's coming out in 2 weeks. So they were very, very fast.
That's fantastic. That's great information for my listeners. I know a lot of people, the pandemic has prompted a lot of people to start writing their story, which I love, and I love to read personal, like, biographies, autobiographies, but there are so many ways you can publish. But like you said, first of all, it's a full-time job to write a book, right? Everything involved, learning the industry, learning everything to go through, all the hoops, and to think outside the box. Like, you found that hybrid option, which you didn't even know. I didn't even know that existed. Yeah. So that's great. Thank you for sharing that. So I want to just share something with you. I know your favorite, well, one of your favorite colors, because I see you in a lot, is your signature pink. So for my listeners, if you're at home, jump on my YouTube video, you will see that I am putting together, I wanted to put together a collection of accessories that go well with pink. So I chose navy blue, which is what I'm wearing with my pink. And I'm going to offer a giveaway. This is a 1950s vintage silk scarf, a navy blue vintage silk evening bag, some navy blue gloves, and a pair of 1980s vintage banana bob pearl and sapphire earrings. I'm going to put this up as a giveaway for everyone. If you pre-order or purchase Alison's book and follow us on social, give a podcast throw out a podcast review. I'll have all the information on my social media channels, and people can enter the giveaway for that navy blue, hot pink accessory collection. So that's for you, Alison.
I love it. I love navy blue and pink. It's so pretty.
I do too. I do too. So awesome. Yeah, so just check out my social media when this episode drops, and you'll see how you can enter to win.
So I have a course, and it's basically it's like a PR boot camp. So it's an online course. I think it's like an hour, maybe 45 minutes. It's all recorded. And so I want to give that away because that basically takes you from A to Z. And so I started doing that during COVID as well. So we have different price points, but this will be free to anybody who wins. So we'll get that. Once we have a winner, I'll get a code for them, and then they can go on and log into the course.
Oh, that is fantastic. Everyone listening, take advantage of it. Alison is offering her PR boot camp for free if you enter the giveaway. So as I said, follow us on social. You can, Alison is at Alison Maloni. Instagram is Alison Maloni, and Twitter as well, right? So
it is.
Once we get ourselves organized with it, there'll be information on how you can take advantage of that great offer from our PR queen, Alison. Yay. Thank you so much, Alison, for coming on.
It's welcome.
Been a pleasure, and I really wish your book the greatest success, and for you too. I mean, you've earned it. You deserve it. You're a great role model for your beautiful girls, and for just for women in general. You know, we all, like you said, we want to be a supporter, right? And you're great with that.
Thank you. Yeah.
I wish you the best with everything.
Thank you so much. This is, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
It's so fun. And I'll be in touch.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Gentlewoman Boss podcast. I hope you enjoyed our lovely guest, Alison Maloni. Don't forget to check out her website and purchase her new book, and also take advantage of a lovely giveaway that she's hosting for those that purchase her book. In addition, don't forget to check out my social media page. I'm at Gentlewoman Boss everywhere, so that you can take advantage of the fabulous vintage accessory package giveaway that I'm hosting on Alison's behalf. Visit my social media to learn how you can enter that. And in addition to those few follow-ups, I did neglect to ask Alison the question that I ask all of my podcast guests, which is, what quality of a gentlewoman do you think is important to emulate, and why? And Alison's answer is beautiful. She says, I think that the best quality of a gentlewoman is to be supportive of other women. We should be building each other up instead of tearing each other down. We need to be other women's biggest cheerleaders. Hear, hear, Alison. I could not agree more. We are like-minded, absolutely, in that endeavor. So thanks again for listening, and I will see you next week for the next episode of the Gentlewoman Boss Podcast.